Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube, and follow us on Apple and Spotify podcasts.
I think we definitely had to hit the ground running, so that was just good to just jump right in, see what we were made of. And ultimately, like, whatever the results were, we were coming back with more confidence and better prepared for what we were going to see back at home.
All right, welcome back to episode 68 here of the Bullpen. Special guest coming on later in the episode. It is Brady Cunningham, brother Rice, 2027, committed to Texas A&M. Appreciate him hopping on. He came on Monday night and did a little recording with us after his game. He was in uniform still, so be sure to stay around for that. But how you guys doing?
Fantastic, Gavin. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Excited
I'm
to be
glad
back
everybody's
on here.
jumping right at it to talk.
Yeah.
So.
Episode 68. We just keep racking them up. So it's pretty impressive. But no, we're right in the throes here, the middle of the season. We got right in the mix of conference play. I'm sure seedings will be coming out here in the near future for the classes with playoffs like quickly approaching. It's pretty wild how quickly the season does kind of get going. But no, I am all good here. What's new?
Not much here. Yeah, I mean, we got some good college baseball stuff going on though. Again, I'm gonna say it again. I keep saying it. NIU just keeps winning their series. They won their series 2-1 this past weekend. 25-13 overall. They're 16-8 in the MAC. They're second in the MAC. So, I mean, again, like we've talked about it a lot the past 4 weeks probably. I mean, what they've been doing this year is super impressive. They've really turned it around after their first couple of years there. Coach Copeland and stuff. I mean, they're getting their recruiting classes in, I'm sure, and the guys they want there. And I mean, they're just really winning and doing well. But ISU, they swept Bradley, 26-16 on the year, 9-9 in the MVC. Illinois, Chicago, they swept Youngstown State. Western Illinois went 2-1 over at Tennessee Tech. Eastern Illinois won their series 2-1 over Tennessee Martin. They're 24-15 overall and 12-6 in the OVC, and then they're tied for first place in the OVC with 4 other teams, and one of those teams is Southern Illinois Edwardsville. So some good weekends here out of Illinois squads.
Well, you mentioned NIU and like their commits and their recruiting, and I just wanted to shout out like they just got Jackson Aarons from East Peoria. He skyrocketed up like I think everybody's boards with just what he's been doing this spring. He was our player of the week. He was seemed like he was hitting us for a cycle every other game. It was like 17 for 17 at one point, and ends up committing to NIU. I know he was recently kind of decommitted and back on the market. So congrats to him. Congrats to NIU, and excited to see what Jackson can do. I mean, we just had him on the podcast, and I was a huge fan. Just listening to him talk, the way he carried himself, kind of his outlook on athletics, sports, being a multi-sport guy, and I'm a huge fan of him. So excited to see what he does down the road. And then, yeah, you mentioned Eastern Illinois, and I wanted to shout out Tyler Conklin. I saw this come across my socials. They beat UT Martin 9-7 on April 24th. And in their tweet, they put how with today's win over UT Martin, Tyler Conklin broke the EIU program record for most career wins with 24. And that one just kind of fired me up because Tyler Conklin was a 2021 grad from Caneland. In high school, just really athletic, threw a ton of strikes, was upper 80s, and I was always just a big fan of him. Like, he was a true gamer. So to see like that carried over to EIU, they've had a lot of really good pitchers, that have come through EIU in the past. Like, that's a place that holds a special place or a special spot in my heart. I coached there as my first ever coaching job, was right out of college, volunteering at EIU. So I know the history there. So congrats to Tyler Conklin, Caneland 2021 grad, holding the career wins record for EIU.
Yeah, one note that I saw come across that I just wanted to touch on is Braden Bakes At Illinois State, he won or earned another MVC Player of the Week honor after hitting .555 on the week with 10 RBIs, 8 extra base hits, 2 home runs, and then on the season, hitting .380, 12 homers, 2 triples, 16 doubles, 41 RBIs, 39 runs scored, 7 stolen bases, and 26 walks. And then Braden was a Huntley grad. What year would that have been, Drew? 22, 21?
22 sounds right, but
23?
you're making me want to look it up. 22 or 23.
I believe it was 23.
Braden was a future gamer, and I want to say
Okay.
Ryan was not, because back then you could commit early, and I want to say Ryan committed to South Carolina. But now, I mean, you've got me. I want to make sure. I want to fact check this, but yeah, Braden was our 12th ranked player in the 2023 class. And let me
while
check
you're
the
looking really
roster.
quick,
Yeah.
Nick put in a note here
No,
that
that's all
Braden,
correct.
both brothers, Braden and Ryan, hit a grand slam in their game over the weekend against Bradley. So shout out to the brothers as well.
It's kind of ridiculous. Like sitting there as a dad, having twin sons playing at Illinois State, hitting a grand slam in the same game. That's pretty cool stuff that you can't really dream up, I would think, as a parent. All right. We've got a couple other notes in here, Gavin, and if anybody else wants to chime in on some of these, I just thought they were really cool. Like Aiden Flynn, we've mentioned him in the past, but he's a true freshman from Marist. He's at Illinois. Starting on the weekend now for Illinois, and he's just been really pretty much lights out for Illinois all season. His stats year to date, he's thrown 37 innings, 30 hits, only 8 walks in 37 innings. He's struck out 37, so he's striking out a guy an inning as a freshman, and he's pitching to a 3.16 ERA. And then Mississippi State, I don't know if you guys saw this over the weekend, but there were some social clips. Jack Bauer had a really good outing. Which is awesome to see. Like the fact that he's thrown as a true freshman at a place like Mississippi State in an environment, like the clip on social was ridiculous, just how loud that place was. But against LSU, he went 3 2/3, gave up 3 hits, 1 run, no walks, and he struck out 8. Which is just speaks to the dynamic stuff that he's always had. On the year, he's got a 5.27 ERA, 13.2 innings pitched. He struck out 22 guys and he's only walked 6 so far. And then another true freshman that I wanted to shout out is Matt Miller. It's actually Maddox Miller, but it's Matt Miller's boy. Matt Miller is our Mississippi scouting director, pitched in the big league. So like there's some good bloodlines there. But Maddox Miller, like Jack, is a true freshman lefty at Mississippi State. And he's pitching to a 2.84 ERA on the year, 19 innings, 17 hits, 5 walks, and he struck out 32 in 19 innings. I know when he was in high school, we would always like send clips over of him marveling at his changeup. So just good stuff there as far as like company is concerned and keeping our eyes on and like rooting for, people in the company. So awesome to see Maddox doing that. And then another guy from Mississippi State, another left-handed arm is Thomas Valencius. Vito Vitus Valencius went through Illinois. He was a St. Lawrence product, ended up transferring to the Baylor School down in Tennessee. And I mean, I saw a ton of Vito throughout high school, but his younger brother, Thomas, he was in Illinois at the time. He was actually on Team Illinois at the Junior Future Games way back in the day. And I love it because like we're doing all this Rising Stars stuff right now. So it just brings me back. But I remember Thomas, like little left-handed, hitter and pitcher. But he transferred to the Baylor School when he got into high school. He's one of the top left-handed arms in the country. A Friday night guy from Mississippi State. He's got a 2.13 ERA on the year, 63 1/3 innings pitched, 50 hits, 14 walks, 87 strikeouts. So like there's stuff, there's velo, there's all kinds of pitchability there in Thomas, and excited to see what happens, from a pro perspective with him. And then if anybody wants to get into Cam Yearsley, it's just absolutely absurd what's going on down there at John A. Logan.
Well, he's almost at the all-time junior college record, is what you're hinting at. He's at 37 homers on the year now, which is 1 away from tying the record. It's just crazy, like the run he's on. It's like I think the numbers broke down to like 1 in every 4 at bats is a home run, which is just like video game set to easiest mode type numbers. So to be doing that in real life, I guess like good competition. Like the GRAC is very good, and some of the best junior college ball in the country comes from that conference. So to be doing that against those guys is impressive, and it'll be interesting to see what happens this summer because he's committed to go to Missouri State. But if a team likes him enough to want to take him out of John A. Logan, you never know. You never know what's going to happen. So it'll be interesting. I also saw he's headed to the Cape this summer, so that'll be an opportunity for him to showcase himself even further.
If these John A. Logan stats are right, which I don't know when they were updated because a lot of this here, I think it's correct because it's got him at 37 home runs. He also has 15 doubles, 54 extra base hits in general, 97 RBIs, which I've never seen that out of a college player, I don't think. And he's hitting 503 on the year with a 627 on base percentage. So, like, to go along with the power is just some crazy outlier numbers as well.
Well, shout out to the rest of the Vols for getting on base for the guy. Like 97 RBIs is insane for like 162 games, and he's doing it in a third of that, which is just crazy.
Yeah, let's see if it lists. He's played in 51 games, so he's almost at 2 RBIs a game. And just another shout out there, he's a 2024 grad from Yorkville. So love seeing Illinois guys he's like making, obviously national news, and love when these Illinois guys are doing it on a big stage. So like you said, curious to see what happens from a pro Missouri State standpoint within this summer.
For sure. Gav, do you want to mention what we were talking about off air with the tweet regarding like the Golden Spikes and Bryce Harper? Because I saw that same tweet. It's pretty cool.
I don't know what the side-by-side stats were, but there was like a screenshot of Bryce Harper's JUCO stats when he won the Golden Spikes Award, and they were not as good as Cam's stats are right now, which is pretty wild.
Well, I didn't realize that you could win the Golden Spikes and not be Division
I didn't either.
1. So that'd be pretty cool if you won that. But
just saw some breaking news, and feel free if you want to throw this towards the front of the episode.
Oh, boy.
Friend of the podcast here, Owen Murphy is getting the call up to AAA. Through 5 games, he has a 1-1 record, 27 strikeouts, a 244 batting average against, and a 1.79 WHIP. So he's moving up to AAA. No, he had elbow surgery not too long ago as well. So glad to see he's back on the mound throwing well. So Owen Murphy moving up to AAA.
I feel like it's a pretty quick call up for him. I don't know how many innings he has at AA, especially for coming off the elbow surgery, like you mentioned. I mean, huge fan of Owen, one of the best, probably just athletes to come through here. So let's see what he can do at AAA.
Did you guys want to move into some Power 25 stuff here?
Yeah, one thing I was going to mention before you guys talk on teams is like, I feel like it was the first week where a lot of the teams in the Power 25 either went undefeated last week or they only lost like one game. There were very few teams that lost, 3-4 games, which I feel like made it kind of tough. But yeah, Hammond, I see you got some teams in here to talk through, so go ahead. Or if anybody wants to add off that, go ahead too.
I gotcha. Well, St. Lawrence stays at number 1, but we got Lincoln Way East jumping up to number 2 after a 4-0 week. So they're jumping Normal Community, and it's not a knock on Normal Community at all. Like, we think very highly of them. It's just the fact that Lincoln Way East went 4-0, and they kind of played themselves into that ranking now. So we have them up to 2. We got Brother Rice up a couple spots. I believe actually 1 spot to number 6 now. They went 3-1 on the week with a huge win at Wrigley over Mount Carmel. I was at that game, so I'll touch on that a little bit later. And then Mount Carmel is also moving up 2 spots to number 7 now, because they also went 3-1, and they actually took a game from Brother Rice on Saturday, so they split that series. And then Lane Tech moving up 2 spots as well. That was kind of the theme of this update, was like teams moving up 2 spots. That's just kind of how it played out, and you'll see that when we go through the rest of this, but they're up to number 8 now. They're 16-4 on the year. They got a pretty healthy winning streak going, I believe. And they've been playing some good baseball as of late, but they went 5-0 on the week. So, yeah, that's the movement in the top 10 we got.
And I think you're spot on with Lane Tech and their winning streak. Just going through it, I'm counting 7, 9, about 14 straight wins for them, which is pretty absurd. And you mentioned St. Lawrence at number 1. They're 20-1. They went 4-0 this week. And just looking through their game scores, like, it is crazy what they're doing offensively. In their 4 wins, they scored 17, 13, 16, and 19. And they're not giving up runs either. They gave up 7 runs on the week in 4 games. So I think they've kind of put themselves kind of on a different level compared to everybody else. Now, Lincoln Way East, I mean, they're 18-1. They have, something to say about that as well. But St. Lawrence has also found themselves like really high up in our national rankings from a high school lens. And it's only going to get more and more telling here as this, Chicago Catholic League Blue kicks off and they start playing some of these other Power 25 teams, as we saw with Brother Rice and Mount Carmel. Like, they're going to be some dogfights. And then looking at Mount Carmel, you mentioned them, and, as you're talking, I'm just digging through all these games, looking for all these, kind of interesting storylines, stat lines. Like, Mount Carmel, a lot like St. Lawrence, like their offense, they went 3-1 in their 3 wins. They put up 10 and 13 against Providence Catholic, and then they put up 16 in their win against Brother Rice. So they lost 4-1 at Wrigley. I think it speaks to Braden McKendrick and how well he threw against them. Now, they do have some really interesting left-handed hitters in that Mount Carmel lineup, and McKendrick's a lefty, so he clearly kind of took advantage of some of that, but just pretty impressive what some of these teams are doing across the state.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it with McKendrick being left-handed against that lineup. Like, they just ran into a buzzsaw. Like, I'm super high on that lineup, and just what I saw, even with them only scoring 1 run, like, it is a dangerous lineup. It is not a lineup I would want to pitch to. Not just presently because I have no UCL, but in college and in high school. Maybe not college, high school. But going back to St. Lawrence, their only loss is to IMG, like the IMG top team. So that holds a ton of weight. And like you said, they're number 6 in the country with us right now, and I'm sure that'll be updated here very shortly. But yeah, I mean,
wasn't it like it was a 6-4 loss, and they were leading in the game? I know you were chatting with Coach Lotus or something about it a little bit.
They had them beat, and they ended up losing. But yeah, I mean, it's just like, don't overthink something like that, right? They won state, they bring everybody back, and they add the best left-handed hitting catcher in the state going to Kentucky in that lineup. They're 20-1, and they've only lost to IMG. Like, that's pretty good. They're going to be pretty high ranked, right? So it's not one you want to overthink too much.
I also want to say that, yeah, they were playing. So St. Lawrence was playing Mount Carmel on Monday, and we had some heavy storms come through the area. And speaking of like having some dogfights in that conference, the game was suspended due to lightning. And it was 4-4 in the bottom of the 6th. So we got a tight one there. We'll see kind of who pulls that one out. And
I was, Drew, sorry to cut you off, but I was following that game, just because it looked like it was gonna storm like all evening over by me. And man, I was watching that game on Game Changer, and St. Lawrence was down 4-0. I think entering the 5th or the 6th inning. And came back. I know Ian Tosi started for Mount Carmel and continued to throw the ball well for them. But yeah, that CCL Blue, man, it's always a dogfight, but it'll be interesting to see how those 2 games finish up tonight.
And I mean, I don't know if you guys want to work your way through the Power 25.
Yeah.
I mean, Lamont had a 5-0 week. They're up to number 17 now. They're 15-3 on the year. Geneva 3-1 week. They're at number 18. They're 16-3. Pete, any other teams that maybe you want to touch on?
Well, Lincoln Way West at 16. They went 3-1, and they had some quality wins. I mean, Sandburg, we had them in the Power 25 at one point. They beat them. They beat Homewood Flossmoor, who was in the Power 25 at one point. And they beat Oak Forest, who we know has a couple of really good arms there, and some talented players in that lineup. So they're rising a couple spots there as a result.
Yeah, and you look at normal U High, number 19 now, 19-2 overall, 5-0 week, and then kind of jumping down towards the back end of the Power 25. Looking at Dunlap at number 23, they had a 17-4 week. They went 3-1 on the week, and they split with East Peoria. Their win over East Peoria was against R.J. Duncan on the mound. So big win there for them. And then number 24, Monticello enters for the first time. They're 21-0, 3-0 week last week. And then when this comes out on Wednesday, Monticello will be playing St. Joseph Ogden. So a big Power 25 matchup there in the 2A class.
So that's going to be well, depending on what they play. Currently, as we sit going into Monday, it would be a matchup of a 19-1 team versus a 21-0 team in Monticello. St. Joe Ogden was 19-1 when we updated this, and they're sitting at number 11. And you guys spoke to it at the start of the Power 25, but it was one of those weeks where a lot of the Power 25 teams played well, and as a result, we were only able to get one team to jump into the Power 25, and Monticello, still without a blemish on their record, sitting at 21-0, jumps in at number 24, and that game will be really telling. It'll be our first look at Monticello too, which has made it tough to kind of, put them in the Power 25 before, but we'll make it a point to go see them, get the eye test, along with a really good matchup. All these teams outside the Power 25, I mean, I know, Tyler, you got a couple teams that you're kind of eyeing.
Yeah, I actually saw a few of these teams that are just outside our Power 25 last week down in Southern Illinois, and I'll touch more on like prospects from these teams later. But like Harrisburg, 17-2. When I saw them last Thursday, I want to say they were in the middle of a 14-game winning streak, and then they ended up losing to Carterville, who's 17-5, which I think it speaks to the difference in weather they get in the southern part of the state. The fact that these teams have nearly 20 games under their belt, or over 20 games under their belt, is pretty impressive. But then you got Freeburg at 17-3. Like, they have an ace on the hill with Liam Scaife. They got one of the better catchers in the 2027 class in Bo Brayman. Like, they've got a lot going for them. And then Waterloo's 10-4. Like, but they beat Muscuda last week when I saw them, who's ranked inside our Power 25. And like, honestly, Waterloo was just really fun to watch. Like, not to get to inside baseball here, but like, man, Coach Schleck's group, like, they play small ball, they hit and run, they steal, like, they put a ton of pressure on the opposing defense. They're just a really fun offensive group to watch, or at least they were last week when I saw them. But yeah,
they've got a win over O'Fallon on the year.
Yep.
They've got a win over Columbia 1-0. So like, they've taken down some good teams.
Yeah, they're a pesky group, and I mean, they've also got Cannon Richard, who I want to say is their top arm this spring as well. So they've got a lot going for them. They're a fun team.
A couple teams that I'm eyeing out here. Tremont at 19-2. They're in 1A. They got Chase Rose on the mound. That's an arm that will just absolutely dismantle most lineups in the state, regardless of class. So having that at 1A is an absolute luxury, and they'll be one to watch. I mean, they're already, like I said, 19-2. Glenwood is a team that I've been eyeing for a few weeks now. They're 15-3. They have wins over Sacred Heart Griffin and East Peoria, and they lost to Triad early in the year, but it was only 1-0. So I played them tight. And then already mentioned East Peoria. I'm high on them. They're 13-6. They split with Dunlap, so they have a Power 25 win. And they've played teams hard all year. Father McGivney, they're 15-4. They're my 2A pick to click, and East Peoria is actually my 3A. But Father McGivney, I mean, they've won 11 of their last 12 games, so they're playing some good baseball here. And then Minooka at 14-4. Got my eyes on them a couple weeks ago. I mean, they passed the eye test. They're always, talented over there, and they're one to watch at 14-4.
Yeah, a couple teams up north that are playing some good ball. Prairie Ridge is 13-3 on the year. This past week, they swept Burlington Central with 2 4-0 wins, and then they lost to McHenry on Friday, 6-5. And then they're playing again today. Those are two of the top teams in the Fox Valley Conference. Another Fox Valley team is Jacobs. They're 12-4 on the year. Last week they split with McHenry, and then lost to Huntley later in the week. And then Grays Lake Central, 15-2 on the year, only losing to Crystal Lake South, and then this past week they lost to Libertyville, but they went 4-1 on the week.
Yeah, a couple teams that I saw: Muhammad Seymour 15-4 so far on the year. In that same area, Tolona Unity 14-2 on the year. We got Newman Central Catholic; they're 15-1. North Clay is at 20-3, and then Rock Ridge 15-5. All really good teams there in the central southern part of the state, and I mean Newman's up in the north central part of the state, I guess. But all right, and then we can kind of move down, look at some Diamond Notes standouts. I mean, I'll just start off here. One that I saw was Renzo Sansonetti at Jones. He's a 2026. In a game against Kenwood, he threw 6 innings, which was a complete game. Struck out 15, walked 2, allowed 3 hits, and no earned runs. Another one, Hudson Lavelle, a 2027 at Morton. He hit a 2-run go-ahead homer in the top of the 7th to break a tie against Mount Zion. And then that 7th inning home run in that game put Hudson as the 3rd most home runs in Morton High School history. On the season, he's hitting .413, 19 RBIs, and has 4 home runs. Yeah, one more note I had from the Diamond Notes. Jeremy Thompson. I feel like we've talked about him a decent amount the past couple weeks. Quincy commit, Romeoville 2026. He hit 3 home runs last week. And he now holds the season home run record at Romeoville High School with 9. And he also holds the career home run record with 13. He's currently on pace to break the season hits and doubles record at Romeoville. And let me see if I'm reading this right. And as well as breaking the career RBI record. He currently has 73, and the record at Romeoville is 74. So shout out to Jeremy, having an awesome season so far and a good career there at Romeoville as well.
I'll shout out another senior that's committed, Cannon Madej, left-handed pitcher. He also plays first base for Lamont. He's going to Swick, but he threw a no-hitter against Shepherd, 6 innings, obviously no hits, no runs. He walked 1, and he struck out 8 in a 6-inning run rule win over Shepherd. The velo for him just keeps trending up, as does the frame. Like, he really, really looks the part when you go and watch Lamont. I think there's going to be way more in the tank for him, and he'll have a bright future after Swick as well. One player that Pete and I briefly saw this weekend that I want to shout out as well is third baseman Noah Collins at Notre Dame College Prep. He's a 2027 uncommitted. Really looks the part in the uniform. I would say that's like the first thing that stood out is, man, he's physical, and he was just all over the barrel in every at bat that we saw him at. But on the week last week in 13 at bats, he had 6 hits, good for a .463 batting average, 2 doubles, 1 home run, 8 RBIs. I also thought he played like a really sound third base, and is just a guy that came away a winner for me, just getting a brief look over there at Notre Dame College Prep.
Yeah, I'll definitely touch on him a little bit later. I have him in one of my categories, but a couple offensive showings that stood out to me. Logan Fernandez, for one. There was really one game that made me want to dig into everything. His game against Mount Carmel when they won 16-14. He went 4 for 5 with 9 RBIs in one game. With 3 runs scored, a home run, and 2 doubles. So the 9 RBIs was just absurd, and it made me want to dig into him. So for on the week, he went 8 for 15 with 16 RBIs, 7 runs scored, 3 doubles, and 2 home runs. So impressive stuff there. And Logan is a Trident commit from Mount Carmel, senior. And then Brandon Thompson, a catcher from St. Viator, going to Purdue. He had a great week. He went 10 for 16 with 15 RBIs, 6 runs scored, 2 home runs, and 2 doubles.
I don't know how you guys feel about this, like, because we haven't made a decision on Player of the Week at this point, given, when we're recording this podcast. And I know some of those names you just mentioned are certainly in the mix, as should be Danny Donovan, in my opinion. His numbers are pretty absurd as well. For St. Lawrence, he's a 2026 going to Wisconsin Parkside. Went 8 for 11, 3 home runs, 2 doubles, one that went off the top of the wall, 9 RBIs, 11 runs scored, 1 walk, 1 hit by pitch. So guy was getting on base constantly. And just, we mentioned St. Lawrence offense at this, when going through the Power 25, and he's just been a really good piece for them as well all season long. And then I want to mention an underclassman, Cannon Baxley. I don't think anybody really touched on him yet, but he's a higher ranked prospect for us in that sophomore class. On the week, he went 7 for 12 with 3 home runs, 8 RBIs, 7 runs scored, and 2 stolen bases for Caneland. And like getting a little bit more into the weeds on like his week, in game 1 that week, they were trailing 9-5 in the bottom of the 6th inning, and Cannon came up with the bases loaded and hit a game-tying grand slam. And then later on, game goes extra innings. Cannon led off the 8th inning with a base hit, and ended up being walked off with a game-winning run in the bottom of the 8th. So I don't know if I said that properly. Long story short, like Cannon had a big week. Also hit a monster home run in game 2. Hit 2 home runs in that game. One of them being over, estimated over 400 feet from what the coach submitted. So clearly it was a no-doubter. And he's a two-way talent as well. Also had 2 innings pitched on the week, no hits, no walks, 2 strikeouts. So shortstop, right-handed pitcher, that is certainly a high follow in our mind.
So looking at some games now, we're going with upside prospect here as our first topic. And I saw Ryder Annette, a shortstop at Dunlap. He's a 2028. And I just love the athlete. Defensively, it really stands out. In IO, his ability to just move around and how bouncy he plays. I thought the arm played across. Like, it was just a really good look defensively and in and out. Translated in game, he made some plays on the run where he's throwing it across the diamond, and a lot of kids at that age probably aren't going to have the arm strength or like the carry across the diamond to like make it like a close play, get a kid out on a close play. But he did that, and like the ball carried across the diamond. It wasn't kind of loopy or lobbed or anything. Like, it was a really good throw across the diamond. He's got a really confident hands, confident glove defensively. I really like his defense a lot. He's one of my favorite shortstops in this area that I've seen. But at the plate, he's a left-handed hitter. It's fluid, it's easy, and it's a pretty flat path through the zone in this look. He didn't record a hit, but he did have a pull side barrel, and then he also took another one the opposite way for a barrel as well. And then just one thing to note about Ryder, he's got some athletic bloodlines. His dad played hockey professionally. He's from Canada. Was drafted, I believe, out of high school, or however hockey works, maybe one of those like AAA high school
juniors, yeah,
whatever they do. But he was drafted in '97 to the St. Louis Blues. Played for the Peoria Rivermen, and that's how he must have stuck in Peoria. But yeah, his dad was a pro athlete. So shout out Ryder.
Nugget.
Thought it was a good look at him.
That's so big time. Do we have any idea if Ryder was into hockey for a long time and finally gave it up for baseball? Because he's got the left-handed swing. I'm guessing he's got the left-handed stick on the ice.
I know Peoria's got some hockey leagues.
Yeah.
So maybe he does play. I really don't know. It's a good question.
Well,
he is a good basketball player too. He's a point guard for Dunlap. He's a stud. I've seen him play in game, and he looks the part on the court too.
It's a pretty sweet hockey name, Ryder Renette.
Yeah, Ryder Renette. He sounds like a prospect.
I can see that, people rocking that jersey.
And Pete, I'll let you get in here too, but going and watching these games, a lot of what we're trying to do right now and throughout the spring is catch up on draft prospects, but catch up on uncommitted juniors, teams that are really good, matchups that are really good. But a big part of it too is cross-checking these 2028s for the future games. So you go see Ryder Renette in a great matchup there against East Peoria. Pete, we got a brief look at Peter Pignatello, and along the same lines, figuring out middle infield. I mentioned Cannon Baxley in this nugget with Diamond Notes, but Peter Pignatello, he's another 2028 left-handed hitting shortstop, and he's at Bennett. And I mean, we saw Nicholas Chiroto earlier in the year at Edwardsville, and like a lot of these guys fall in the bucket. Okay, like they're going to be follows for the future games. We need to get multiple looks at these guys. So Peter Pignatello falls along that same line. Upside prospect, left-handed hitting shortstop. And Pete, go ahead, get in there on whatever you had on Pignatello.
Yeah, I came away liking him a lot actually. And I mean, speaking of bloodlines, his dad played in the MLB, like with the Cubs. So you love to see that. But yeah, I was just a fan of the all-around game. Like even from right from the get-go, like IO, like the instincts, the actions are there. He looks like an infielder. He floats around, and he was vocal, like captaining the IO, which stands out to me, especially being a sophomore. So those vocal leaders that are athletic up the middle of the field are usually, ones you want to watch and ones that succeed. But I liked him at the plate as well. Like he keeps getting stronger, right? That's like what stands out maybe the most on that side of the ball is the strength and the bat speed. Just keeps getting a little bit better each time. It's flat, it's loose. I thought he took some good at bats and put some good swings on balls in my look. And I don't believe he had anything to show for it, Drew, but I know he definitely lined out hard to right field, but nothing fell for him. But I just came away liking him, honestly. I would love to hear your thoughts too.
No, I'm right there with you. Like I think the thing that we're always looking for are guys that are trending upwards. I talk about it all the time, but I think he's a perfect example of it. I have his profile pulled up right here, and just looking back, like he was a state games invite for us last year. He's been to some, I mean, junior future games. Like he's been to a lot of our invite only events so far. We've been tracking him, and that's the beauty of these Rising Stars events, these junior future games. The Illinois Rising Stars game that we're gonna have in June is tracking these guys, and like last year at the Illinois State Games, the summer of 2025, he ran a 7.2 360. He was 78 across the infield, 94 exit velo. So, man, he's going into his freshman year, like those are very serviceable metrics, especially a 94 exit velo. Like that's like, especially given his frame, like he's got some bat strength. But then in the winter of 2026, he comes to our preseason All-State. He ran a 6.87 60. So he trimmed, almost half a second off his 60. His arm strength went up to 84 across the infield. The exit velo kept climbing. He's at 97 now. And I thought the exit velo and the bat strength and the bat speed really stood out to me just watching Bennett the other day. Like he took a couple good swings where the ball came off his bat different for a sophomore. And I think it's only getting better. Like it's a very direct swing. I think it's going to develop into some like sneaky pull side power. I could see that coming. And I did. I really liked the way he moved around and carried himself on the field. I think that's the thing that stood out to me the most is he looks like a guy. Presents himself like a guy. He made a couple tough plays. There was one play that really stood out to me where it was like a tweener ground ball where the third baseman cut right in front of him and shielded him. I know as like a former shortstop, that was one of the hardest plays. You don't know if the third baseman's going to cut it off and actually field the ball. And then at the same time, they block your vision. So he was able to handle that and made it look like it was really, really routine for the put out. Also had a really smooth, crisp, just 6-3 double play where it was hit up the middle. It kind of stopped the bleeding for Bennett early in the game too. Notre Dame was putting it on him. Had scored 3 in the inning and only had 1 out and got a ground ball up the middle, stepped on the bag, kind of flung it over to first base, showed some feel too. Like he didn't, like gather himself and throw over the top. Like he just kind of threw it on the run, dropped the arm slot. I thought in between innings, like he's a guy that I think we preach this all the time at events is like, you never know how many ground balls you're going to get in a game. Like play deep in the hole, like play your position at shortstop and show us like game actions. And I thought he did it every single time in between in between innings, showing off an arm that was carrying across, playing true, just really polished look for him only being a sophomore. And I love it because it's trending up. There's polish to his game already. And Pete, you already mentioned it with like the vocal leader, all that stuff. So just another high quality left-handed hitting infielder in that sophomore class. It's going to make a lot of hard decisions for us when it comes time to pull the trigger on some of these future gamers.
Yeah, I mean, he was a winner for us at the super sophomore games as well. I don't think you mentioned that, but I mean, he was on the junior future games team that I coached, and he was an absolute pleasure to have on the team. Like, and that stuff goes a long way and carries a lot of weight, right? And like even after the event in the fall, I remember I was at Grand Park just walking around and his team was there. He came up to me unprompted. No one told him to do it. Just said, "What's up?" Like that was like mature. Like he's a genuinely good kid. So you always root for guys like that.
I can get in on mine here. I'm going to go with Hayden Lang for my upside prospect here. He's a right-handed arm out of Carterville, 2028. Saw him throw last week, and like right off the jump, he checks quite a few boxes for me. Like the frame, he's a high-waisted 6'4", 205, moves well down the mound, has like that athletic arm stroke, looks like he could play shortstop for Carterville. I believe he plays first base when he doesn't pitch, but the fastball was 82 to 85, had some carry through the zone, and on this day, like against Harrisburg, like it was really effective at the top half of the zone, was able to get swing and miss up top there. But then like another box he checks for me is like his feel for the breaking ball. At 70 to 72, can get swings and misses on it when he needs it. Like I thought the control probably wasn't his best that he's had this spring, from what we've been able to tell, but the ability to like pitch out of jams to me was really impressive for his age. Like it's a big game. They're playing Harrisburg. Like I said earlier, Harrisburg was on a roll, and he was able to basically stymie that lineup for almost 6 innings, right? Like he finished 5 2/3, had 6 punch outs, but just a guy I think I want to bet on moving forward. Like the mover, like the athlete on the mound. I think the stuff's only going to continue to get better as he gets older, but really like what I saw out of Hayden last week.
I got one here. Luca Agni, actually fresh off a Boston College commitment today on Tuesday. So congrats to Luca there. But he's long been a fan favorite for us, right? Brother Rice now, previously Plainfield North, a junior. But he's like that spark plug, Swiss Army knife type kid that you can just put him anywhere in the field and he'll excel, right? Put him anywhere in the lineup and he'll hit. And he's been a huge addition to Brother Rice. I mean, he can play a little bit everywhere. When I saw him at Wrigley, he was playing second base, but you can put him in the outfield. You can put him behind the plate. He's a spark plug. Like he's twitchy. He's athletic. He's a switch hitter. And he's hitting 4-hole for a really good Brother Rice team. And he's, like I said, been a great addition to them. But I just loved what I saw from him at the Wrigley game. Just like aggressive at bats, but like not recklessly, right? He like attacks in the zone. It's a short, compact, strong swing. I mean, the dude almost left the yard at Wrigley for a triple. Like, it was an absolute barrel. And then he played a really good second base with him and Colin Campbell up the middle. Like, it's one of the best middle infields in the state. So just came away liking him a lot, like we always have, but really good in-game look from this past week at Luca.
Yeah, and I actually have to make a quick switch here. I have originally Jackson Aaron's listed under uncommitted name to know, but he just committed to Northern Illinois. I don't know, what was that, yesterday or maybe over the weekend. So I'm just going to put him in this upside prospect section. Jackson Aaron's 2026 at East Peoria. I really like the frame. Athlete, there's some lean strength throughout. I think there's probably 10 to 15 more pounds still to add. He's 6 foot, 180. I don't know if I said that. But he's an athlete. Yeah, like I said, lean strength. In the game, 1 for 3 with a double down the line. Had a 4.50 on the turn. And then his other 2 outs were hard hit barrels to center field. I think that he has like quick hands through the zone. And when he makes contact, it's just the ball comes off the bat really hard. I really like the swing now. He's definitely changed his swing up from what I've seen in the past. And I like how he plays the game. He just plays it hard. Every time he's running out of the box, like he's getting out of the box hard. Defensively, again, I was really impressed with his defense. He's an athlete, confident glove, can range, has a pretty good arm across the infield. But yeah, Jackson Aaron's Northern Illinois commit. I was a big fan.
Well, Gav, that 4.5 on a turn is pretty impressive. I remember you had texted me like during the game asking about it. Like 4.4 for a right-handed hitter in a straight line is like major league average. So if he's running a 4.5 while like bananaing, like that's pretty impressive stuff. Like typically like a turn, you don't always get a great time because like a lot of times on turns they're just kind of, they already know they got to hit. They kind of just slow down and whatnot. So to still get a good time on a turn shows the motor that he has and how hard he's playing the game.
But yeah, we can officially get into that uncommitted name to know now, Tyler. Go ahead. I see you got a name in here.
Gonna go with Trey Conrad, a catcher out of Waterloo, 2027, uncommitted, obviously, like lean, athletic, 6'1", 196-pound frame. He's a right-handed hitter, and he really caught my eye. Like in pregame, I get there early. Their whole team's hitting batting practice, and to me, like, and this isn't to disparage anybody else on that team. Like, I just saw his batting practice round like really stood out among the rest of the guys on that team. Just the twitch in the swing, the quick hands, like, and that all carried over into gameplay. He had like 3 hits, 2 doubles, I want to say, but like the look in the box to me is really impressive. It's a very confident hitterish look in the box. But where he really stands out for me is behind the plate. Defensively, like the kid can throw the absolute crap out of the baseball, out of the chute. In between innings, like I'm getting 196 to 208 in between innings, which is really impressive and speaks to, Hammett, you were just talking about motor with Jackson Aarons, but those catchers that like treat that in between inning throw down to second like it's the real thing, stands out and shows that, they're not just they're going through the motions during the game, but also blocks his tail off. Like the vocal presence behind the dish also stood out. Like I'm behind home for most of the game, if not off to the side towards the first base bag, and like I'm always hearing this guy talking to his pitcher, which, for some arms they probably love that. There might be other arms that don't love that. But to me, it just speaks to like how in the game he is. He's always got his pitcher's back and is just in constant communication with them, whether that's encouraging them or telling him, hey, like, make this next pitch or whatever. So, really like Trey. He was, out of all the guys I saw last week down in Southern Illinois, like, out of my personal preference, like, he might have been the biggest winner to me. So, really liked what I saw to Trey last week.
So, my uncommitted name to know from last week is Brett Alkire, a right-handed pitcher at Dunlap. He's a 2027. Stretch-only guy, 5'11", 155 pounds. Pretty wiry frame. He's got more to come, I think. He's an athlete, though. The fastball is 86 to 89. He touched 91. And I thought the fastball played with some carry to where like it was getting life through the zone and getting swing and miss in zone on the fastball. Also mixing his slider, 78 to 79. It was sharp at times. Kind of had 11.5 shape. Quick arm. I thought the fastball, like I said, comes out really good. And then at the plate, he went 1 for 3 with an RBI and a run. But quick look there or not a quick look, but I liked the look at Brett Alkire there, an uncommitted 27 at Dunlap.
I'll jump in with Noah Collins. We already kind of talked about him earlier. Drew mentioned that he liked him a lot. And, I mean, it was an impressive look. I mean, he was playing third base for Niles Notre Dame, which ultimately I came away impressed with their lineup. The bats that they had, and I'll touch on that a little bit more later, but he's an uncommitted junior. He's 6 foot, 200 pounds. It's physical. It's proportionately strong, right? It's round shoulders, wide back, but he's got strong legs too. But man, he was all over the barrel. And like, I know Drew mentioned that, but he wasn't kidding. Like his first at bat was a hard single. Second at bat was a line out to left field, hard hit. Third at bat, fly out, hard hit to center. And his last at bat, another hard hit single. So 2 for 4 on the day, but 4 barrels nonetheless. The swing works. Like he's strong, but he's not like stiff and static where, if kids get too big, like they can't move anymore. So he's very much still able to move, and it's fluid, and he's got strength in the swing, and it's clear. Like he was all over the barrel. He's got feel for the barrel too. Like he can control it through the zone. But he also held his own at third base. So just a nice corner infield, right-handed hitting prospect to know, especially heading into the summer circuit here.
So gamers now, the prospects with the best in-game performance. Before I get into this, I just want to quickly mention, I haven't said it yet, but that Dunlap East Peoria game I went to was just an awesome game all around. Just a under the lights game, conference matchup, rivalry, 2 of the top teams in that Middle Illini conference between those 2 teams. So just wanted to mention that. A really fun game. But RJ Duncan, catcher, East Peoria, 2026 going to Illinois State, was my gamer for this game. He went 2 for 2, hit a home run. They were down 1-0, I believe it was like maybe the third inning. The Dunlap student section was getting a little chippy at him. He walks up to the plate, hits a home run to tie it up. Augie Loans follows up with a home run to take the 2-1 lead for East Peoria, and then they ended up winning that game. But on the day, 2 for 2 with a homer, a double, RBI, 1 run scored, and 2 walks. And again, it's just that easy power off the bat. When he makes contact, it's just a hard barrel typically. On that double, it was a fastball, 90-mile-an-hour fastball, like higher in the zone, probably out of the zone actually, but he swung at it, hit a double to deep left center gap, and then defensively was just kind of being a vocal leader back there for East Peoria, really blocking it up, saved a couple runs there, and potential like base advancements, not stolen bases, but did a really good job there for RJ, or for East Peoria, and shout out RJ Dungeon. I'm actually going to go see him here pretty soon on the mound for East Peoria. So
I'll go next here. I'm going to go Dax Randolph, the shortstop out of Harrisburg, another 2028 prospect, and my second time seeing Dax this spring, and like I know he showed really well for Hammett last year at the Kickoff Classic. I saw him earlier this year at the same thing, the Kickoff Classic, and a lot to like here on both sides of the ball. And in game, like he's got some gamerness to his attitude as well. Like last time I saw him, I really loved the defense as well as the right-handed stick. And then, pregame here, I wanted to make sure I was there early enough to see his, pregame IO. And man, it is so clean for a 2028. Like, really shows off feel for the position. And then that carries over into game. Like he's a very confident defender up the middle at short. He's got the arm. He's got the quick release, in my opinion, to stick there moving forward. But right-handed hitter, like, really liked the swing. He was on the barrel multiple times. Had a double into the left center gap in his final at bat. But to me, like, I thought the bat speed had kind of ticked up since I saw him earlier this spring. So, like, it's an athletic bat path through the zone with a line drive approach to me. And, he flashes the ability at times to generate that natural backspin on the baseball as well. So, really like what I've seen out of Dax both times this spring, and a guy I'm really high on moving forward.
My gamer isn't so much like a stat line. It's just like he's a true gamer. You know what I mean? Like Anthony Cardolano, that's kind of who I think of when I hear the word gamer. He's an outfielder for Brother Rice, uncommitted junior, true center fielder. Like the dude tracks down everything out there, and it's like the reads he gets, the jumps he gets, how hard he plays the game of baseball. It's just the guy you want out there. Plays with his hair on fire, and still uncommitted up to this point. So definitely want to get him some love. But I mean, the frame, he's 5'9", 190. Like, he's jacked. He's got traps that go up to his ears. Like, the kid is physical. He's got strength, and he can really, really play center field. So one to mention there. And then on the same team,
before you get into your next guy, like, one thing I just want to mention about Cardolano is he has stood out everywhere he's gone this spring.
Yeah.
When they were out in Vegas and Shooter Hunt was there watching him, came away highly impressed with Anthony Cardolano. Like one of the first guys he mentioned when talking about their team. And then they go down and play in Louisville against Trinity, St. X, and JT's down there, our Kentucky guy. He's texting me saying, hey, I really, really liked Anthony Cardolano. He's just one of those guys it's almost impossible not to like because of the way he goes about his business. And you mentioned it, like, we need to get this guy some love. Like, colleges need to be in on Anthony Cardolano. He's got tools. He knows how to play the game. He plays hard. He's a center fielder that could stay in center field. So I just want to kind of elevate what all we've seen about Anthony Cardolano.
Yeah, I mean, to speak on that more, like, it was a dagger to my heart when you took him for your center fielder for Team Hammett versus Locascio. Like, he was one of the guys that I wanted pretty much like 1-1, but I couldn't take him. We couldn't take him 1-1, but man, I mean, the plays that I saw him make, like, he made a ton of rangy plays, and then he doubled up someone at second base on like one of those sinking line drives off the bat where it's low, and you have to read that correctly or else you have no shot. And he made it look easy and doubled up the runner at second to end the inning. So just plays like that, just like stuff that he makes the routine plays look incredibly easy. And he makes the plays that a lot of people don't. So that's someone you definitely want in center field. But on the same team, someone that's very happy to have him in center field, Braden McKendrick. Now, this is a stat line. I mean, I do like Braden McKendrick a lot. He's an upper 80s lefty that can pitch. Senior going to John A. Logan. But he absolutely shoved that game at Wrigley in a huge environment, huge game. Like, you're at Wrigley Field, right? The history of that park. Being on that field, like, in and of itself, like, I couldn't imagine being a high school kid playing there. Getting to use that mound, like, it had to be one of the best days of his life. And then he topped it by absolutely shoving. Complete game, just 2 hits, no earned runs, 3 walks, and 6 strikeouts. So in that environment, doing what he did, feeding off the crowd like he was, like, he wanted the baseball. Like, Coach McBride was not going to take him out of that game. Like, he was not going to let him. Like, he was not going to give up that baseball. And you love to see that. So just want to shout those two out for Brother Rice.
Yeah, so one more name to know here for me. It could be in the uncommitted name to know section. Just only saw a very brief 1-inning look at him, but it's Eli McCannick, a right-handed pitcher at Dunlap, 2027. He's 5'10", 188 pounds is what we have him listed at. Pretty athletic with some strength throughout. But I like the mover on the mound. It's quick. He's an athlete. 86 to 89, touch 90 with the fastball. Showed maybe 2 sliders, I think it was, about 75 miles an hour, and then a changeup at 78. But just a quick 1-inning look there at him. I think he had 3 strikeouts in the inning, a couple walks, but I really like the way that he moves. Obviously, the velo there is there. So shout out to Eli McCannick and uncommitted 27 at Dunlap.
I want to go back to Carterville, this time for an unsigned senior in Drake Capey, second baseman for the Lions. High-waisted, 6'3", 190 pounds. He's a 3-hole hitter, left-handed hitter. So, already checking a ton of boxes there. I just loved how simple his swing was. Ton of bat to ball. Uses the middle of the field, and throughout the game, I thought he had great takes. Lays off pitches, near the edge of the zone. Doesn't expand the zone. Just takes what the pitcher gives him. And defensively, he's a steady defender over there at second base as well. I think if there's any schools still looking for a second baseman, Drake would be a great fit. Just really liked it on both sides of the ball, but specifically the left-handed bat. I was really impressed.
I'll get in on Quinn Rooney here, and he very much could just be in the upside prospect category, but I just came away thinking, wow, from just what I saw with him. And he's another one. He didn't have anything to show for it, but just the look he has in the box. He's 6'6", left-handed, wiry, levers for days, and the bat speed through the zone. It reminded me, and I'm not comparing them, saying they're the same player by any means, but just of watching George Wolkow. The huge left-handed hitter with wiry levers that you flinch when he swings because it's going to be maybe 110 off the bat, and it's going to potentially go through someone's chest. You know what I mean? It's the ease of the bat speed that he was creating was just very impressive, and it's stuff you can't teach, right? And that's what these scouts are looking for a lot of the times is what do these kids have that we can't teach, right? Because they can teach they have their development programs that they can teach stuff, but they also want kids with intangibles with stuff that they can't teach. And you can't teach being 6'7", and creating just that natural bat speed. So impressive look at him. And then, like I mentioned earlier, Niles Notre Dame just gave an awesome look throughout their lineup. Noah Collins mentioned earlier. Ryan Cisneros going to Milliken, a senior. These guys are all seniors here, actually. Nathan Oliveras, I came away really liking him from Rantoul last summer, actually. He's going to Cornell College now. Anthony Zuido appears to be uncommitted, but he's a senior. And then Nicholas Burnt going to Lewis. All of them just impressive at-bats throughout the day, barrel fest. Me and Drew were kind of just looking at each other I don't know if these dudes have not barreled up a baseball almost every time they've come up. It was just an impressive all-around showing from this lineup. So I just wanted to give those guys a shout. And then I have one more underclass follow here from actually the same team, Niles Notre Dame, Monty Chalabi, a sophomore. Just another kid that bangs the baseball around. Physical right-handed hitter, catcher, can play some first base, was DHing for them. So getting into that lineup, I was looking at the lineup card and we knew Monty can hit, and he was hitting down in the 8-hole. We're interesting. I wonder why. And then Well, now it makes sense because 1 through 7 can bang. So just an impressive specimen there with Monty, right-handed hitter with juice, and one to follow.
All right, let's get into our interview with Brother Rice 2027, Brady Cunningham.
Right, we are joined by Brady Cunningham, Brother Rice Jr., Texas A&M commit, one of the top players, not just in Illinois but in the country. We have you at number 3 right now, Brady, in the state, but you're nationally ranked as well. First of all, thank you for hopping on. You're literally in uniform right now. Just got back from a game that unfortunately got delayed by lightning. So, like you mentioned, you'll pick that up tomorrow against Loyola. But Brady, thank you for hopping on, buddy.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Of course. So, yeah, we just wanted to run you through a few questions here. We like having the high school kids on, get their perspective, just, listen to you guys a little bit. So a couple questions that I have for you. I just saw you guys play in Wrigley. That was an awesome game. One of my favorite games I've probably ever been to, just with, the teams that were playing, you versus Mount Carmel, Brother Rice Mount Carmel, 2 Chicago Catholic heavyweights in Wrigley. Like, it doesn't get much better than that. So just describe the emotions that you had, going into that game, with it being in Wrigley and also being the matchup that it was, you versus Carmel, which is a huge, that's always a big series. So talk me through that a little bit.
Yeah, I think emotions are always pretty high playing those guys. But it just got taken to a whole nother level as soon as we got off the bus. Like, we got there right at the end of the Cubs game, and of course they win the game on a walk-off. So everyone's already fired up going into the game, and the whole atmosphere with everything, like, you couldn't not be pumped up about it, and you could just see it through all the guys, and it was just a great moment for the team and everyone there.
100%. Yeah, it seemed awesome. So now a little bit about you and just how you approach the game of baseball. I'm curious, what is your favorite part of, like, preparing yourself just for the game of baseball, right? Is it, taking swings in the cage? Is it your pregame work? Is it fundamentals? Is it the weight room? Is it mental approach? Like, what is just your favorite part of the craft of baseball?
I think mentally for sure. I feel like everyone talks about that part of the game, and a lot of people struggle with it. So I feel like just focusing on that part and making sure that I'm mentally prepared for every game is definitely something that I like to take pride in, and something that's definitely really important to me.
For sure. Tyler, feel free to get in here, but I'll just start going through a couple more here. Obviously, you were at the Future Games last summer, right? It's our premier event for uncommitted players in the country. You were part of that stacked, loaded team. We had arguably the most talented team we ever brought down there. So what were some of your takeaways from that? Like, did you come away from that event with any more or less confidence after playing, some of the top players in the country? And then you obviously had showed well for yourself. So how did that kind of play into your confidence level as well?
Yeah, I think definitely a lot of confidence was taken away from it, but also just being in the dugout with those guys, like, it's pretty rare to find those opportunities where you could just be in the dugout with such high level guys. So just having conversations with them and learning the game, I think definitely was a big takeaway after, and just try to incorporate that in the spring season.
Brady, I want to hop in real quick. You performed at Future Games. You've been performing all spring, honestly, from start to where we are now, and that started on your spring break trip in Las Vegas. And you balled out in front of our very own Shooter Hunt, who came away very impressed with you. Just kind of talk on, that spring trip and maybe how it helped prepare you for these arms in Illinois, because I know that was the Bishop Gorman Invitational. You guys were not facing any slouch competition out there. So just talk about the Las Vegas trip and about how that trip prepared you for this spring in Chicago.
Yeah, I think we definitely had to hit the ground running. So that was just good to just jump right in, see what we were made of. And ultimately, like, whatever the results were, we were coming back with more confidence and better prepared for what we were going to see back at home.
Love it. Me and Drew actually had kind of a similar question, but so we just saw your brother recently at a showcase, and not only do you guys look like completely identical, but like I saw a little bit of him of you in his swing. So obviously he's been around you a bunch, but just on the topic of like underclassmen at Brother Rice, are there any guys coming up that like you want to shout out? I know technically your brother isn't at Brother Rice right now, but who are some young guys in that program that like we need to pay attention to moving forward?
Yeah, I think one of the guys that stands out for sure is Jacob Casper. He's definitely a grinder. You could see him working all the time. So I feel like seeing a guy like that, he has the tools and dedication to take him a long way. So that's cool to see.
Does your
And
brother
then
hit with you? If the swings are that identical, does he work with you a little bit? Just out of curiosity.
He does. It's always fun to get out of the house. Have a little fun in the cage, talk some smack. So
Sure.
it's always a fun time.
well, you set the bar pretty high because how we've always seen, with the younger siblings, man, they're gonna chase that older sibling. So you've certainly set the bar high for him and given him something to chase. So that's really cool. This last question of Drew's here, just kind of want to touch on your recruiting process last fall. Obviously, you commit to Texas A&M in October. Did you take a lot of visits, and what were some of the more important factors for you when you decided, hey, Texas A&M is the place for me?
Yeah, I think initially the recruiting process it was a bit overwhelming, but ultimately couldn't complain. Like so grateful for all the opportunities, and I think I ended up going on 5 visits. So definitely got a feel for some places, and ultimately I think it just came down to my connection with the Texas A&M coaches. I feel like as soon as I got down there, we just connected right away, and having Coach Early over there, like it's unique to find a guy like him who knows so much about baseball. So I feel like I definitely connected with him very well.
Awesome. Well, I think we're all set here. But Brady, we really want to thank you for taking the time. Obviously, like we said at the start here, you're still in full uniform, coming fresh off a game, but we'll be seeing a ton of you the rest of this spring. You've been performing, like I said, all year long, and it's really cool to see from where we sit. So rooting for you, and wish you the best of luck the rest of the spring.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah. Thanks, Brady.
All right, that'll wrap up episode 68 of the Bullpen. As always, appreciate you guys listening. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube, and follow us on Apple and Spotify podcasts, and rate us on Spotify and Apple podcasts.